There is a school action fantasy called Akashic Academy. The game involves the protagonist completing various events that occur at the school, growing and clearing each scenario. What's appealing about this game is not just the action but also the romance element. A heroine character appears in each scenario. As you progress through the scenario, her likability increases, and the game has become popular because it offers not only action but also gal game elements. Furthermore, all of the heroines that appear are portrayed to be extremely cute, and each one is sure to find their own enthusiastic fans. Raising X Action X Romance, this game is packed with elements that users are sure to enjoy, and in fact, there is one character other than the protagonist who appears in every scenario. Sometimes they mock the heroine's misfortune, sometimes they target her, and sometimes they stand in her way as the final boss or a mid-boss. Arrogant, insolent, quick-tempered, womanizing, etc. Jules Blanche, the second son of an earl, was famous for being a disgrace to the nobility. In this work, he is the unshakable villain. If you think about it normally, it's impossible to avoid all the doom flags in a certain room in Count Blanche's mansion. The black-haired boy was sitting at his desk with his arms crossed, a serious expression on his face. Well, there is a hero and a heroine. And in the first place, since they are in the same year and in the same box called the school where the story takes place, it is almost certain that they will have some kind of connection. About 10 years old? A chubby body and sharp eyes. However, there is something about her facial features that exudes a good look that makes you think if she lost weight, she'd look good. The boy paused for a beat and then slowly began to speak. So I was thinking, if I don't go to school, I won't die, right? What do you think about that? Sorry, I seriously had no idea what you were talking about. It was a late afternoon and the pleasant chirping of a small bird could be heard. The girl in the maid's uniform, who had been casually listening to her master's story while brewing tea, finally spoke up. She has long, lustrous brown hair, a lovely, beautiful face, and big, round eyes. She is about the same age as Julius and is on the small side in stature. A girl with an appearance that made it clear at a glance that she would become even more adorable as she grew up. Iris cast a fixed eye over Julius. So what is it that you're trying to say? I don't want to go to school, you said with a straight face, the kind of things a kid would definitely say after the holidays. However, there's nothing we can do about this. It's already been a week since I was reincarnated as the villain named Julius. He has always felt ashamed, receiving looks and words of disdain from those around him. In addition, a future awaits in which he must constantly think about how he must protect his own life from the flags of destruction set off by the heroines. Not only did he not understand why he was reincarnated in the first place, but he was suddenly faced with the consequences of neglecting human relationships. It's normal to want to run away. You don't want to study that much? Well, it's true that Master has been skipping his private tutoring lessons up until now. No, I don't particularly dislike studying. What? But getting kicked is the biggest reason why a child doesn't want to go to school anymore. That's not what worries or scares Julius. The reason I'm afraid is simply, there are a lot of people I don't want to meet, you know. Ah, I see. Iris was completely convinced by Yura's faraway gaze. However, he didn't seem to mind too much as he placed the brewed tea in front of Julius. Master, you're really disliked. Maybe so. Why don't you look back at the past for a moment? You'll see if there's still room for maybe. In any case, Yuras was also an avid user of Akashic Academy. To some extent, I know what the character Ulysses has done up until now. But the reason he asked Iris anyway was probably because he hoped there was still something he could cling to. Either way, what did you do? He splashed water over the face of the Duke's daughter, tried to destroy the business started by the chairman of the Board of Trade Union's daughter because he didn't like it, hurled insults at the princess and whatnot. I get it. I don't remember anything in particular, but I understand that there is a past that can't be wiped away. I think again, this is a lineup that really feels like it could stab you in the back. I can understand why people would want to run away. Yeah, that's why we're planning a strategic retreat. It's annoying when they try to act cool when they have no intention of making a comeback. As expected, Yaris is a villain, just as rumored. It's clear that we've reached a point where there's no hope of repairing our relationship. That's right, just as Iris just said, it doesn't look like I'll be able to make 100 friends at school. So let's think about how I can avoid going to school. How about you just apologize now? Why me? I think that's the first thing to think about. If it's something I've done, I feel like apologizing. However, it was Julius before his reincarnation who had done it, and he had nothing to do with it. No matter how much he didn't want to die, he had no intention of bowing his head. By the way, the three ideas I'm thinking of right now are running away from home, going away, and becoming a monk. From my perspective, it seems like there's only one option. Iris cutely crosses her arms and racks her brains. And then, oh, that's right. How about joining the Knights? The Knights? Yes, it's a knight order that serves the country. It's a place where anyone can join, be it nobility or commoner, and the standards for joining are the same as those of the academy. If you're going to serve the country, surely the head of the family won't complain. The Knights are a unit that only make a brief appearance in this work. Branches have been established in various regions, each of which works to improve public safety in the country. It is normal for nobles to attend academy, but some nobles join the Knights Order. For example, they may be a child who is not expected to inherit the family business, or they may come from a family of knights. The Count of Blanche's older brother has already been chosen as the heir to the family, and he is also attending school. In addition, the story is set at a school. There is no heroine who attends the school, and not a single heroine who is a member of the Knights. Julius leapt to his feet and let out a roar that echoed throughout the afternoon. That's a great idea, Iris. That's right. If I join the Knights, I won't need to go to academy. I'll be able to ignore the scenario. I can grow up without having to come into contact with characters who condemn me. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, I hope it was a brilliant idea. But there's still the entrance exam to take, right? It's okay. How can someone who has never even swung a sword be so confident? Iris tilts her head quizzically. But, I do have some knowledge of games. It might be a bit like cheating, but it's possible to train hard from now on. I don't know what the standards are for joining, but if I keep working hard and persevering until the sunset, I can make it. Yuris has a blazing flame mark floating in her eyes, just like a sports computer. If I join the Knights, I can get away from Iris, the hidden heroine. It's impossible for a personal mate to join the Knights. Besides, Iris probably dislikes Yuris too. It's truly a win-win situation. The villain Ulysses' creepy smile never seems to subside. If that's decided, then we'll start training right away. And so, I'm off to the training grounds now. I know, it's my turn to be the person in charge, so I have to be there too. Then, as Eurus ran out of the room, Iris gave a big sigh and chased after him. Who cares about the scenario? In order to avoid raising the flag of ruin, I'm not entering the academy. And so, 3 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Hey, Iris! Can I really join the Knights? Julius has grown considerably in height, and his once chubby figure has now become slim and muscular. He asked as he slowly put his sword back into its sheath in the silence of the forest. Up until this day, I have worked hard. I have swung my sword every day, built up my muscles, and participated in countless battles. In other words, I have continued to train until I was literally bleeding. Well, it's true that Master has changed. He doesn't skip a beat and comes every day without fail. However, I'm still a bit uneasy. I haven't received any invitations from high society, and I don't know how skilled my peers are, or what the specific criteria for joining the Knights are, and they don't seem to have been disclosed to me. I started to feel kind of sad. Eurus, who has no friends, puts his hand to his mouth and tears well up. It's okay! Master, you're super cool, so there's no problem. Sorry, I couldn't catch the ball very well. Can we have a conversation that's a little easier to follow? Like Ulysses, Iris has grown appropriately for her age. Rather than saying she's beautiful, should we say she's become even cuter? Everyone can't help but stare at her adorable face, and her body, which is starting to show its curves, exudes femininity. But, well, how should I put it? The reason he has a somewhat feverish, sparkling look in his eye might be because he's grown up. Well, in reality, isn't it okay? Because Iris said, lowering her gaze. There, a large number of monster corpses showing signs of having been gouged were found. If I hadn't been able to join, the world would probably be at peace right now. Why are you giving me that dirty look like you have no common sense? Julius doesn't know the criteria for joining the Knights. That was why she was tilting her head, but seeing her master like that, Iris let out a big sigh. The character Iris is not the official heroine. These so-called hidden characters are unlocked after clearing all scenarios, and they often do not have much to do with the main story. From her position as a personal maid, her family is killed by Eurus for his own enjoyment, and she descends into darkness, giving her a final boss-like side. However, that scenario only takes place after entering the school. The character Iris doesn't appear much before the main story begins. However, since it didn't come out, it didn't mean that she liked Julius or anything like that. She just felt the same way about the people around her. Master has been acting strange lately. This story takes place about 6 months after Julius was reincarnated. Alone, Iris was leaning on her chin as she watched her master running around the training grounds. If he suddenly says that he doesn't want to go to school, he'll try to join the Knights. And he doesn't get tantrums as much anymore. That's a good thing. Sometimes he would lash out at me, which was annoying and a real pain. However, the reason she doesn't quit being a personal maid is because Iris' family has been serving the Earl's family for generations. If that wasn't the case, he would have left Ulysses long ago. However, that hasn't happened recently, and since I've been practicing my sword and magic from morning to night every day, it's pretty easy. Well, I guess having more free time is a drawback, right? Maybe I should join in the training once in a while. As I was thinking about this, the other maid suddenly passed by behind me. Hey, over there! They're running again. Is it too late to try and curry favor with the head of the family? Why are you doing that? This is unrelated, a chuckle, a mocking look, and words. Iris didn't blame him, but simply waited blankly for her master to finish running. After a while, Julius stopped running and came towards me, still drenched in sweat. Ha! Ha! Give me a towel! I smell like sweat. People will mistake me for a guy. If you don't drink water, you'll die. I'll drink it. He gulped down the water Iris handed him and then wiped the sweat off his face with a towel. By the way, you're going to buy a sword now, right? Oh. I just can't find a sword that suits me. They're all too heavy. Is it simply because he's a herbivore that he lacks muscle strength, Dre? I guess I still need to train more. Magic-related things are one thing, but when it comes to muscle strength, there's only a steady method. Okay, then let's do some push-ups now. The carriage is waiting, so let's do it after we get back. My husband sometimes says things I don't understand. I've gotten used to it now, so it's not a problem, but it bothered me at first. I'll go, master. I have to throw my sweaty clothes in the laundry basket. It would hurt if a girl told you smell like sweat. That's a really late story. Iris pushed her master's back and they headed towards the exit of the training grounds. After taking off their clothes and washing off a light sweat, Iris and the others got into the carriage and headed to the royal capital, which was a short distance away. As I said, it's to repair Julius' sword. It will be 2.5 years before I can become eligible to join the Knights. By then, I need to have progressed to the level where I can join the Knights. I'm not good at memorizing. But I have to memorize before the written exam, so I have to catch up now. Across from him was Julius, glaring desperately at his textbook. Since I rejected all private tutors in the past, I can't hire one now to take lessons. That's why, whenever Julius has free time, he spends his time poring over his study materials. Really, things have changed. In the past, he would never have tried to study or practice sportsmanship. But what about now? I'm working hard, determined to make up for all my past failures. Definitely a sign of hard work. The reason I can't bring myself to praise him so openly is probably because of his past actions. If he has this kind of attitude, I feel like he might as well enter the school. That's what I was thinking. Cat! Suddenly, the carriage overturned. The suddenness of it all threw Iris out the door. Although he managed to stay safe, he was thrown out into a wide field, leaving his master behind. Wow, what? Look up! Suddenly, the horse's head was cut off, and the driver's body was seen rolling around, dripping with a dark red liquid. And then, what? Is it just me? Before I knew it, a dozen or so men who looked like bandits had appeared around us. What is this? I went to the trouble of finding a luxurious-looking carriage and decided to attack it, but there's only one servant left. There's nothing of value there, is there? In that case, let's just take her at least. It looks like we'll have fun, and we can even sell her to a random noble. A moment of emptiness appeared in Iris' mind. However, his eyes quickly turned cold. Right now, this moment, Iris didn't think about her master who might be in the carriage. To protect himself, he said. There was a natural human defense instinct born out of Julius' low likability rating. With a jingling sound, a bellows-shaped blade fell from under Iris' skirt. Really? These kinds of lowly people are everywhere. It was quick from there. He gripped the bellows handle tightly and swung it sideways. His body, which was small at first, suddenly grew in size and he sliced the men's bodies in half. You? I'm the one who should be angry. Red decorations don't suit such an exceptionally beautiful girl, and yet she's being made to work. Hi, Iris is a hidden character and one of the heroines. And on that route he takes on a final boss-like role. A family of servants. A girl who was the most beloved for her fighting talents, even amongst the family trained to protect their masters. They have such strength that even a group of bandits together would be no match for them. He swings his accordion sword at the bandits who approach with swords and axes, crushing them while maintaining his reach. Ha ha! This is what happens when you come to play despite being weak. However, no matter how talented he is only 10 years old. The difference in actual combat experience was overwhelmingly in their favor. Take that. Suddenly, one of the men fired something like a sphere. Reflexively, he tried to bend his accordion sword and deflect it away, but the moment he made contact, something like smoke spread all over the area. I'm dizzy. So cheeky! With her vision blocked, Iris involuntarily flinched. There's no way I'll miss that opportunity. A man appeared from the smoke screen and pushed Iris' small body down. Ha ha! That's easy, young lady. God, he hits me hard on the back, sending all the oxygen flying out of my lungs. Perhaps because of the difference in physique, it's difficult to get out of the way. This is a very bad situation. Iris realized it would be difficult to turn things around from this point. How many people were killed? Isn't it only 10 people? Good grief, it's a terrible loss considering it doesn't look like we're going to get much. Well, I guess I need you to work hard in many ways, young lady. The men smile lewdly even though their friend has been killed. This makes her feel even more scared. What? Are you crying now, young lady? Tears welled up in Iris' eyes. Who could help me in this situation? The driver is dead. There is no one around. The only possibility is that Julius might be alive and still inside the carriage. But there's no way Master would help me. I didn't even try to help myself. Iris slowly came to terms with the reality and looked up to the sky with tears in her eyes. Her eyes looked completely resigned, not suited to gazing at the clear blue sky. I know what goes around comes around, but I just can't help it. A girl named Iris couldn't help but wish for someone help me. And you damn bastard. Who are you trying to get the upper hand over? The scenery changed completely. The fields turned blue, the men with lewd smiles on their faces froze in ice, and the surrounding temperature dropped instantly. It was like a silver world. Beautiful even though just a moment ago he was seeping with fear. Iris couldn't help but become entranced by the view. Wow, what is this? The sole surviving man on Iris is surprised by the sudden change. However, the next moment a white line appeared across his neck, and his head fell off without a splash of blood. I blacked out for a second. I think I finally understand why seatbelts are necessary on things like roller coasters. What had happened? Iris couldn't understand. However, his reaction was triggered by the sound of footsteps gradually getting closer, and he pushed the man's body away and stood up. Suddenly, what came into view was Julius, climbing out of the carriage and coming over to me. Are you okay? No, I can tell from the situation that you're not okay. More than that, I was shocked by the sight of a person's upper body cut in half, or whatever. I'm really scared, but you won't stab me in the back, right? I really don't understand. Why and how? Were the only questions filling Iris' head. Indeed, it is questionable as to why Julius is able to use such magic. But there's more to it than that. Why, yeah, did you help me? I had no intention of helping. The Ulysses he knew would never go out of their way to a dangerous place just to save a servant. That's what should happen. The face of Julius in front of him now had a worried look on his face, as if he was concerned for him. I don't understand that, and that's exactly why it's so mysterious. However, Julius, you always prepare towels and stuff for me, right? That made me really happy, Fart. Even if a girl might kill me, I can't abandon her. That's all. He held out his hand to Iris. His hands were shaking slightly, and his face, which had been tinged with worry, was gradually turning pale. Of course, it was the first time I'd killed someone. This is different from the Iris I'm training with. Still, Ulysses went out of his way to get his hands dirty for me. There's no way I wouldn't be happy. He is no longer the master I know. There was no doubt about it. The Ulysses I knew was no longer the same. I don't know why, but it doesn't matter. Master, let's go home. We can't have a carefree date in a situation like this after all. Before she knew it, Iris had jumped into Julius' arms. Iris' sobs echoed across the field as the cool breeze caressed her skin. There was less than a month until the entrance exam for the Knights. Time flies, and as you watch your muscles grow and sweat every day, before you know it, it's time to push yourself harder. The entrance exam for the Knights consists of 2 parts, a practical test and a written test. Only about 100 people pass the exam each year. Is it because they screen the applicants, or is there only a small number of spots to begin with? Either way, it is a much stricter school than one you can get into just by paying the money. That's why Julius was training with even more enthusiasm than usual. Now that I think of it, my lord, did you end up getting permission from your master? Metallic sounds and dull hammering sounds echoed throughout the training ground. In the large field, there were 2 children, each holding a sword of the same length. I said, if you want to have your shitty guts beaten back into shape. He was happy to send me off. One of them was Ulysses, with her short, cropped hair. The traces of his chubby build had vanished. He had developed solid muscles, grown taller, and become a fine, handsome young man. However, her beautiful face is stained with agony as the sword is forced into it. Meanwhile, the other girl was the complete opposite of Julius, with a cool expression on her face. Oh, that's the best thing! Without the unnecessary introduction, it seems like a scene from a good father supporting his son's dream. Iris' face was already pretty cute for her age, and this only made it look even more attractive. Her feminine features are starting to emerge, and her appearance is noticeably different from 3 years ago. As expected, even if she was a hidden character, she was the heroine of a popular game. When she walks down the street, she's sure to catch the attention of men. Master has changed recently, so I think it would be okay to show him some appreciation or praise, but me too. I think so. Jules somehow manages to push through and land a blow. However, the sword was perfectly blocked, and Iris immediately took advantage of the opening and struck again. This happened over and over again, so quickly that it was almost impossible to follow with the naked eye. Ah, Jules is still doing it. I'm used to seeing you now. I missed the days when you were a tomboy and impossible to control. Maybe I should bring some treats for you later. Don't do that. Iris will be upset that her job has been taken away from her. Really, Iris has changed, especially in her obsession with Jules Sama. The maids who came to collect the soldiers' laundry watched the scene. His reaction was different from a few years ago. Not only had Jules changed, but it also seemed that the way people looked at him was slowly changing as well. Yes, there's an opening. There. After several exchanges of sword strikes, the fight finally came to an end when Iris swept Jules' leg. A large amount of sweat appeared on his forehead. A feeling of discomfort that he hadn't noticed until now suddenly hit Jules. And before his eyes was Iris crouching down and peering at his face, her cute, cool face. Hey, I'm not that talented, am I? Don't easily break your boyish pride just because you lost to a girl. Master is always cool. The beautiful maid guarantees it. You can't just stare at the sky forever. Jules sat up and, feeling listless and exhausted, cast a fixed gaze at the beautiful maid who everyone agreed was beautiful. You're so good at flattery, Iris-chan. I want you to understand my situation. You always put on a cute face while tearing apart my pride as a man. That's what I say, but honestly, I'm just a genius first of all. Iris took out a towel and wiped the sweat from Jules' forehead. If magic is used in combat, there's no way you'd be able to win against Master. But of course, if you fight on your own terms, even a rabbit can beat a lion. Even if you equip a rabbit with a variety of options, I can't imagine it being able to beat a lion. Is that the case? Yes, please believe me. There's no way I wouldn't recover after a girl says something like that to me. Jules lightly slapped his cheek as if to change his mood. Also, since I'm not one to go out in high society, I may not know the standards of people my age, but my master is quite the monster. If you heard what my master was like back then when he was so cute and round, you'd be shocked. You can't win using this now. As she said this, Iris pulled up her skirt a little. Suddenly, a large, heavy bellows-shaped sword fell to the ground with a loud noise. I always wonder, how is that stored? I won't be satisfied until a cat-shaped robot appears. It's a folding, compact weapon after all. Besides, if you look any further, you won't find anything. Iris gives a small, teasing smile and pushes up the hem of her skirt even further. All I have is a pair of black lace underwear that I've put on to prepare for a lucky event that may occur. Soft thighs, fine skin. The absolute territory that seems like it can be seen but not. Perhaps because of the angle from which the person is sitting, it is truly risk. Perhaps because she knew that, Iris turned to look at Jules with an amused tone in her voice. I'm the kind of girl who'd do anything for you, Master. Look, don't be shy and just take a peek. Judging from the teasing yet serious tone in his voice, he probably wouldn't get angry even if he saw what was going to happen next. Jules gazes intently at the girl who adores him. And no, I'm not excited by the panties of a 13-year-old. Hey, did you just do something really fast? Your neck and cheeks are hurting in a way that doesn't seem like it was caused by training. Maybe there were mosquitoes? I want to say that's definitely not the case, but I'll refrain from doing so. I'm sorry, I'm scared of the second shot. She sulks and puffs out her cheeks cutely because she's been ignored. It's hard to believe that this is the girl who received the slap so hard that it bent her neck at an impossible angle. That is why Jules thinks, Why has the heroine's likability increased so much? While thinking this, I rubbed my swollen cheek. So, how's Julius doing these days? A room in a certain count's house. There was a man sitting in his office, his gaze piercing. The head of the Blanche family, Eisen Blanche. Julius' father, and the person who rules over this earldom. The man who exuded an intimidating presence just by sitting there, had his eyes on Iris with her lustrous brown hair. Yes, as always, it's super cool. What are you talking about? Iris stated very seriously. It seems like they're able to have a conversation, but they are not. But to be honest, it's not that different. I swing my sword, Ron, practice magic every day. I seem to have a pretty good reputation among the servants recently, so I don't think there's anything to make a fuss about. Iris regularly reports to Eisen about Joyce. This is because they want to know at any time what the problem child called Julius has done. That's why Eisen had prepared a trustworthy, albeit cheeky, member of the family he served for many years to be by his side. Although it was surprising that he'd grown attached to him before he even realized it. Recently, the reports have started with Master, you're so cool, I have heard about it too. The question is, would Julius be able to join the Knights? Haha, you're going to say that? Iris lets out a cheeky spurt in front of the most powerful man in the mansion. Even if we ignore the bias that is typical of a girl who loves her master, reference value borderline, on the other hand, if it was an organization that my master couldn't get into, I would suspect first that they were worried about their reputation or that someone had paid a lot of money that they couldn't say out loud. Is that enough? Well, if we're talking about sportsmanship alone, I'd be a bit puzzled. But doesn't the Knights place importance on overall combat strength with the sword in order to maintain peace? If we're talking about overall strength, I don't think the head of the family needs to worry about his master anymore. Aizen's eyebrows twitched. However, without showing any interest in that reaction. More importantly, about what we discussed earlier. Have you thought about it? Iris looked a little serious. You want to join the Knights too, right? I don't mind. If I join the Knights, Julius won't be under my control. If I can have someone to watch over him, that's perfect. At it, Iris clenches her fist in joy. Eisen sighed softly at that response. Why do you want to join the Knights so badly? You're not dissatisfied with your current job, are you? As Eisen said, Iris was not dissatisfied with her current position. Being a maid isn't that hard, and there aren't many people I dislike who work there. I want to be by my master's side. It's a simple girl's heart that you would find in a textbook. Excuse me, he said. Having finished her business, Iris bows and leaves the room. Hearing the sound of the door closing, the room was empty. Eisen let out a wry smile and spoke. Seriously? When did my son manage to capture the heart of this tomboy? So, now I can officially take the exam to become a member of the Knights. Wait, I didn't hear you, you idiot. The location has changed, and we are now in a forest far from the Earl's territory. Iris suddenly said that to me while we were defeating monsters to gain experience points. Huh? I didn't tell you that? Yeah, you've revealed some shocking facts with no context, like an emergency bulletin on the news. Well then, it's a surprise. I thought I'd surprise my master with my cute, beautiful maid skills right now. I want to see the surprise placard. Where is it? Where are the staff members? Isn't there anyone who will call this kind of consideration a surprise? In order to get away from the heroines, Eurus intended to join the Knights instead of the Academy. That includes Iris, a hidden character, who wants to stay away from it too. There's no way a maid would join the Knights. No matter how strong a girl she was, comparable to a final boss, I thought that she would never change her position. Despite that, wise old dear. You still can't remove the bomb from your back. Master, are you aware that you're being quite rude to the lady in many ways? Especially the part where he collapses to his knees and tears flow from his eyes. It's a reaction that you wouldn't expect from a guy who's been asked by a girl to be with him. Think again, Iris. The Knights are not what you think they are. What do you think you know, Master? Who doesn't even understand the standards of the knights? You're gonna sweat. Is that all you expected me to persuade you with? Of course, since it's a moving place, you're going to sweat. This is very shallow persuasive evidence. I mean, why do you hate it so much, Nugu? That's... Julius remained silent in response to Ira's simple question. After all, there's no way I could say, no, I'm a reincarnated human, and you're the heroine and might try to kill me. Even if I did say that, people would just shake their heads. That's why I'm at a loss for words. On the contrary, I think Master should be happy. Why? Well, the ratio of men to women in the Knights is quite skewed, you know. Of course, the majority of them are masochistic boys who love muscles and training. Iris brought her face closer. Meanwhile, a beautiful girl who is a feast for the eyes will take care of you every day. She'll even give you a lap pillow, a massage, and a back wash. I don't know, it's not bad. That was what Julius was thinking. Ha! I won't be fooled. No matter how much my beautiful mate, my romantic dream, may attract even a pack of scruffy men, my life is more important. But I already got permission from the head of the family. Damn it. Apparently, he has already received permission from his father. Who is the head of the family? Although he would like to go and persuade his father even now. Julius knows that although his behavior has improved recently, the old Julius was a mischievous child that was impossible to look after. Asen thinks that it would be better if someone was there to keep an eye on him. That's why, no matter what I say from now on, it won't be overturned. With tears in his eyes, Julius turned and ran off like a boy with a broken heart. Damn it, I'm going to find a punching bag and come at him. His back gradually disappears into the forest. Iris, who was left behind, cutely puffed out her cheeks to him. How cold of you, Master. I think so. Monster Sam, that you must have come here looking for a suitable monster to vent your frustrations on, right? While thinking about this, Julius was currently deep in the forest, his cheeks twitching for some reason. Because get away quickly! It's my fault for getting you all involved. I'll do something about this. Saying that, the beautiful girl with crimson hair stood with a sword in one hand and a battered body. And beyond that is a giant dark red bear like a monster. The opponent was clearly too big to be a punching bag. Once, if he got hit with a powerful punch, his ribs will likely shatter easily. However, I don't care about that person right now. This red-haired girl must be the heroine, right? She found the jewel before the punching bag. What should I do, seriously? The time goes back to just an hour ago. Recently, I've become less resistant to having my clothes stained with blood after slaying the wolf-like monster. Julius wiped the sweat from his forehead. As a knight order, they must hunt monsters to maintain peace. For that reason, Julius would often visit places where monsters were likely to appear and defeat them like this in order to gain more combat experience. The reason why the children of noble families are able to do this is probably because the head of the family is basically a laissez-faire person, or perhaps because he trusts the abilities of his supervisor, Iris. Either way, I'm grateful to be able to gain this experience at my own pace. Until recently, I would have felt reluctant just to kill a living thing, but thanks to this, I can now chop off a head without any qualms. That being said, if someone was actually joining the Knights, this would be something they would do as a matter of course. Is there some kind of backdoor admission or some other obvious gift from Santa? Julius wiped the blood away with the cloth and moved on. I'm weak. I'm still weak. I'll try my best to avoid getting caught up in a shitty scenario. In fact, there are no shortcuts to increasing basic stats in this game. Muscular strength needs to be built up through constant muscle training, and sportsmanship skills can also be improved through practice. There were shortcuts when it came to magic, but other than that, only hard work is rewarded, regardless of whether you have knowledge of the game or not. That is why we must gain experience in this way, including the meaning of being immersed in this world. This is for my own sake too. I'm joining the Knights so I don't enter a school with a lot of potential doom. Well, I want you to leave, Bomb Hunyan, but one person has decided to come along. The memory makes your ass feel sick. At that moment, yeah, thought. I came into view seeing trees being cut down in front of me. Curious, Julius couldn't help but narrow his eyes and stare intently. And finally, the reason why the trees have been cut down is revealed. Don't mess with me! A girl wearing armor! Her fiery red hair fluttering frantically as she ran towards me. In addition, chasing behind him was a monster with a huge body as big as the tall trees. The red-haired girl was most likely running away from a monster. The proof was in the tatters of her armor and the blood on her cheek that was clearly not from a monster. This was definitely an abnormal situation. The direction they were heading in meant that they would end up meeting up with the others if they didn't get away quickly. However, Julius just froze up without moving his legs. Why is the heroine here? One of the heroines who appears in the game is a girl named Leosatot Karen. She is the daughter of a family of knights who have played a central role in protecting the country for generations, and is a girl who excels in swordsmanship. However, because she is the daughter of an aristocrat named Earl, she does not join the knights, but instead enters the academy with the intention of learning the arts and sciences to prepare for marriage. She is a girl who is filled with a sense of justice more than anyone else, is proud of her nobility, and crosses swords alongside the protagonist in the scenario. However, Julius couldn't remember such a scene happening on her route before the academy, and she couldn't help but wonder. Hey, why are there people here? As she was engrossed in watching, Lizelot finally noticed Julius. Hey, you're Yulza Blanche. Ulysses is such a celebrity, it brings me to tears. Even though they haven't even met yet at the school where the story takes place, the heroine has already recognized him. This made Julius feel so sad that tears welled up in his eyes and he covered his mouth. Why is she here? But more importantly, if this keeps up, I'll drag someone else into this. Meanwhile, Lizelot, biting her lip, stopped moving forward and pointed her sword at the monster. Run quickly! This monster is strong enough to defeat the knights guarding the area. As they stopped, the monster also slowed down and stood in front of Lizelot and the others. It was probably just observing the situation, growling and watching me intently. I'll somehow buy some time, and then I'll take that opportunity. Is it because he feels responsible for having dragged this all into his life? Or is it that he thinks that the worthless son he's heard about is just a hindrance? Lizelot frantically shouted at Julius, who was standing behind her. On the other hand, isn't this a strange situation to play with a punching bag? The original purpose has already been overturned with all sorts of options added. I was supposed to be wandering the forest looking for a monster that I could defeat with my sword. And yet, in front of me was a monster that was clearly too large to be a punching bag. Plus, there's a heroine right in front of me that I'm not even supposed to meet yet. I thought I would never have met him if I hadn't gone to school. That was why his sudden appearance raised a question in Julius' mind. No, more importantly, what should I do from here on out? I don't want to be involved with the heroine, that's for sure. If that was the case, then he should just turn around and leave, and he would never have any further contact with or meet Lizelot again, as she was planning on attending the academy. But what if the heroine dies here? What if an event like this happened because I was here right now? If possible, I don't want to change the scenario until I join the Knights. After all, if I do change it, there's a risk that unnecessary differences will arise and things will move in a negative direction. Besides, the moment he saw the broken-down girl in front of him in the first place, Although the difference in size is a good thing for a punching bag, it would be strange to abandon it now. He gripped his sword and let out a cold, white breath. It's clearly an ordering mistake, but it's still a punching bag, huh? And then he looked straight at the monster, ready to do what he had to do. I actually wanted to join the Knights. I wanted to protect someone, to wield my sword for someone, just like my brothers. However, she's the daughter of an aristocrat. She will need to marry into a family someday and contribute to the family's welfare. That was why she wanted to enter the academy, make connections in a place where the sons and daughters of nobles gathered, and one day find a partner who could benefit her family. Today, this day, knowing that I had wanted to join the knights, my father gave me my first and last mission. Difficulty-wise, it wasn't that difficult. Together with the knights who are guarding her, she will defeat the monsters in the forest, whose numbers have been increasing recently. At first, things went smoothly, but then a bear-like monster of a clearly different level appeared. The knights guarding him acted as shields to allow him to escape, losing their lives. But still, the monster wouldn't let me go. The place where I had desperately fled to. Was there, villain Ulysses there was. Why is my trashy son here? There was no aristocrat who had ever been in high society who did not know of Ulysses. A problem child who has caused many problems and troubled those around him with his shameful attitude and personality for a nobleman. Of course, Lizelot had seen Julius before, and he had been rude to her a few times at parties. Although he hadn't been seen in high society at all recently, Lizelot, who had a strong sense of justice, had always disliked Julius. However, it's a different story if he is hurt by something he caused. I don't know why I'm here, but even if I die, I must protect Julius. Yes, that's what I thought. It was a mistake in the order, but it's still a punching bag. For some reason, the temperature in the area suddenly drops. Especially behind me. If I forgot to breathe even for a moment, I would freeze to my core. I instinctively turned around. There, exhaling white breath, Yaris was gripping her sword and staring at the monster. It should be me who is fighting. Why did he grab his sword and fight? Yeah, you'll say, Blanche, I'll hand over the punching bag to you, and ignoring Lizelot's question, Julius ran across the ground. The monster let out a roar that reverberated throughout the area. Julius raised his sword, which began to glow pale white. Why are you swinging around here? It was clear that the reach of the sword and the distance to the opponent were not in sync. A motion that was too large would simply create an opening. As proof of this, the monster leapt at Julius in one go. Don't mess with me, monster idiot. It's only natural that something would happen if you showed an opening. But Julius continued to swing his sword without a care. A swing that shouldn't have reached its target. It shouldn't have hit if the blade hadn't extended. Shia, the sword suddenly extended. The monster instinctively puts its arms up to block, but the blow, which also contains centrifugal force, blows its body away. That's not all. The arms that were supposed to be guarding themselves were now covered in a thick layer of ice. Perhaps it felt strange, or perhaps it was unable to move. The monster was puzzled and tilted its head as it looked at the frozen arm. However, Julius seized the opportunity and jumped, slamming his fist into his arm. Are you really that concerned about your decorations? A dull sound echoed throughout the room, and the ice covering his arm was shattered. Ha ha! I've got your arm. A roar of pain emanated from the monster. Lizelot instinctively covered her ears, but Julius laughed ferociously and plunged his sword into the monster's eye. I wonder what the average body temperature of a monster is. After being hit repeatedly, the monster's huge arm reaches out towards Julius. However, Julius didn't seem to mind. Oh well, even if I knew the answer, it wouldn't mean much. Push it in. And the monster was completely covered in ice. And there's no sign of movement. There was no need to say which side won the battle just from that, but Julius swung the sword that was stuck in him to the side and crushed his skull. What is this? Lizelot was nothing but stunned by the sight. The knights who were guarding him were defeated, and the enemy who was unable to escape himself was easily defeated. And it was caused by a man known as Scum. It would be impossible not to be surprised. Lizelot was unable to take her eyes off Julius as he destroyed the monster's skull and climbed down from the giant's body, and simply froze in a daze. If you think about it, if you defeat it like this, you won't have to worry about getting your clothes dirty. Oh wow, I just realized the secret to beauty that will make your wife happy. Julius puts his sword back into its sheath and for some reason slumps his shoulders. Slowly take steps towards yourself. You have to say something. I'm sure there are many things you want to ask. Why is that magic? Why is it so powerful? Why did you fight instead of running away? No matter how strong he is, the Julius I know is the type of person who would be the first to leave someone behind and run away. I don't know. I'll have to ask. However, strangely, Lizella couldn't take her eyes off Julius. Are you okay? I was trying to be careful when defeating you, but before I knew it, Julius was standing in front of me. As Julius appeared with the corpse of a giant monster behind him, for some reason, there was a look of literal worry and relief on his face. Well, maybe he didn't mean to say that. It was a really quiet word. It came out softly from Julia's mouth, as if it had just slipped out naturally. Good, because of the close distance, I can hear the voice no matter how quiet it is. That was why Lizella's face was heating up. And as if in response, my heart involuntarily began to beat faster. I'm really glad. Julius was relieved to see that Lizella was still standing tall and in tatters, but without any serious injuries. Well, if I died here, the scenario might change. And maybe, since I'm here, it might even lead to a suspenseful situation like you killed him, didn't you? Normally, because the injuries caused by murder by humans and accidental death from monster encounters are different, it would be possible to guess to some extent how someone died. But don't underestimate me. Here are some famous villains. Ulysses is. He has a bad reputation among those around him, and is a person who has no qualms about hurting people. That's why it's not surprising that he will want to unleash a monster out of curiosity, or at least that's what those around him think. Therefore, if he survives, he will be spared from unnecessary false accusations. In particular, the girl named Lizelot has a strong sense of justice. No matter how much she dislikes someone, she would never do anything to bring them down. And also, it's a bit shocking to see someone die right in front of you. What? Villain, how Julius scratched his head, thinking that this wasn't like him. Then, at that moment, I suddenly noticed something strange. The girl in front of me was safe and sound, her cheeks were bright red, and for some reason she was looking in my direction with a feverish gaze. Curious, Julius instinctively covered his vision with his hand and peered at the face. Are you okay? It's okay? Although he said it was okay, he seemed quite anxious. Julius tilted his head at the strange reaction. Cough. Thank you for helping me. Seeing Julius like that, Lizelot cleared her throat to cover it up. No, it's nothing serious, so don't worry about it. But seriously, don't worry about it. Picture? Don't worry about it. Eurus wants to avoid having anything to do with the heroine as much as possible. With a very serious expression on her face, she refused Lizelot's offer to thank her. I mean, why is a girl alone in a place like this? Even if she's going to have a picnic and spread out her lunch, surely there should be someone there to escort her? It is Lizelot hesitated. There's no way I wouldn't understand that seeing his reaction. Judging from the way he was running away, he was probably let go by one of the guards. And the fact that the monster was chasing him meant that he had sacrificed himself for his master. Having made such an inappropriate remark, Julius apologized with an embarrassed look on his face. However, Lizelot shook her head and said, "There's nothing for you to apologize for. You are the one who helped me, so blaming me is completely out of place. It would be helpful if you said that." Julius exhaled in relief. Seeing his reaction, Lizelot also looked a little surprised. So, I'd like to thank you for this. Hey, didn't you just turn me down so much that you almost sunk into the wall? Apparently, Julia's refusal had not reached her. I can't just do nothing for the person who saved my life. You might not mind, but I can't help but be concerned. Is that so? Certainly. There may be people who think it would be a disgrace for a noble to do nothing for the person who saved their life. Born in a country where the concept of nobility or commoners didn't exist, Julius never made an appearance in high society and so didn't know much about the situation. Perhaps there are such rules and pride that I just don't know about. Although I was convinced like that, just hearing the words thank you from a beautiful girl makes my heart beat faster, but I think I'll stop here. More than anything, I'd rather not have any weird connections with them. They went to great lengths to intervene in order to prevent the scenario from becoming complicated, but if they were to ban the script from here on out, it would be a complete waste of time. So Julius once again raised his hands and refused. Why? However, I don't have the courage to tell a girl face to face. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Julius' eyes darted around desperately, searching for a reason. And then, I'm planning on joining the Knights instead of attending academy. So I won't have a chance to receive any thanks or anything. So it's impossible, Julius said, desperately trying to make himself understood by making a cross with both hands. Then suddenly, a voice was heard from somewhere. Master, where did you go? If a boy gets lost and doesn't know the way home, we can't provide him with a convenient shuttle service. The voice was definitely that of Iris, who had come with us. Apparently they were looking for Ulysses, who had gone out to look for a punching bag. Oh, it seems the roommate who has been treating me like a disgracefully lost child is calling for your attention. Seeing this as an opportunity, Julius turned his back to Lizelot. Ah, wait a second, listen. Be careful on your way home, okay? Even the prince on the white horse would cry if you received news of someone's death on your way home after helping them so much. If you want to thank me that much, then I'd rather you just go home safely. That's all, and before Lizelot could say anything, Julius quickly fled the scene. He's gone. His back gradually moves away. Lizelot doesn't chase after him, but simply watches him leave. Is that really Joseph Blanche? What I've heard so far is completely different from what I've seen. He said he didn't need any thanks and showed concern for him about the bodyguard matter. And he was worried about me until the very end. It gives the opposite impression to be called trash. If anything, Prince Lizelot pressed her hands against her red cheeks again and started walking in the opposite direction from which Julius had run. I'm sure you said you were going to join the Knights. With such skill, he would definitely be able to join the Knights. However, the problem is that if he joins the Knights, he won't be able to see her at school anymore. Lizelot's mouth curved slightly, and she started walking a little faster. I'm sure father would want Julius, who has such great abilities even at this stage, right? I wonder if he could still take the Knight's exam now. The mother never reached Julius' ears. The girl disappeared into the forest. Master, the Knight Order exam is finally tomorrow. Just as Iris said, there was only 1 day left until the entrance exam for the Knights. Swinging my sword, practicing magic, and receiving the bare minimum of instruction, I realized that time was running out. Time really does fly. As a result, Julius looked disheartened after hearing Iris' words. Seriously? I still had so many things I wanted to do. Julius' room. Iris offers Eurus a cup of tea as he is reading the study materials. You say a lot. You've been working really hard, haven't you, Master? What else do you have left undone now? That's right. For example, it's not something like my personal maid's lap pillow, flirting with a beautiful maid, or sleeping together with Iris. So why are you covering it with? This is a scene that gives us a glimpse into the true feelings of both parties. The truth is, I'm still not very good at sportsmanship. The knowledge of cheats specific to mid-career hires won't help me, and I've never done kendo before. Kendo, don't worry about it. This is what I'm talking about. Iris tilts her head at the unfamiliar word. However, Julius paid no attention and simply collapsed onto the desk. Also studying. What is the point of what did this person accomplish in the past? How is that going to be useful in anything in life? Just look at the present and tell me what's useful in the present. You're saying something that seems to be what young people around the world are thinking in their hearts. Iris sat down next to Julius and leaned in closer. Don't worry, Master. Honestly, I don't think there's any need to worry about that, but we'll make sure to support you during the exams as well. Are you going to help me study? Cheating support. She is a young lady with a cute smile who casually says amazing things. Okay, I'll ask for your support on the day, and this man also confirmed this amazing thing with a very straight face. You can clearly feel the desire to not care about appearances if it means saving one's life. By the way, Master, Iris, who was leaning against his shoulder, shifted position and hugged him to her chest as she spoke. I just thought, Master, your body temperature is pretty low, isn't it? You're so cold. It's as if you went swimming in the middle of winter. You're getting a little too skinship. Why? Is that okay? No, nothing. I did it, Iris thought as she rubbed her cheek against his chest. Even though he was wearing clothes, he could still feel the cold. He said it jokingly, but Julius' body temperature was so cold that it made me wonder if he had really jumped into a lake in the middle of winter. Well, since the person hugging is through their clothes, it just feels cold and comfortable. So, why is your body temperature so low? If you have poor circulation, then I recommend you go to the hospital. I'm currently trying to increase my total magical power. When Julius spoke, Iris, who was clinging to him, tilted her head. Huh? It's suddenly warm. It's simply because you've been using magic for a while now. The total amount of magical power is determined by one's natural constitution. For example, a human with a large magical capacity has a lot of magical power, and conversely, a human with a small magical capacity has less magical power. This vessel grows as the body grows, but it inevitably grows in proportion to one's constitution, resulting in differences in the rate of growth. However, the vessel is like a muscle. If you continue to use magical power, the vessel will naturally grow larger, and whether or not you use magic on a regular basis is also a factor in increasing the total amount. My attribute is ice, so this is the only way I can keep using it without affecting those around me. So my body temperature is like that of a lively boy who goes into the snow in just shorts, even in the middle of winter. Maybe you've been doing this all the time, otherwise it's meaningless. It would be easy if I just continued using magic. Just go to a suitable training ground and keep firing until the magic in the vessel is empty. However, the rate of growth will be much faster if you continue to use it continuously than if you overwork it once. That's why Julius continues to use magic and magical power when he sleeps, eats, and takes a bath. This is a training method revealed in the middle of the game. Thanks to this, the total amount has now increased to a level that no one of my age can match. The protagonist's master, who appears later in the game, uses this method. Thank you, Master. Whose whereabouts I don't even know. Villain this guy, I was a fat girl on the verge of becoming an 8, so it was pretty bad. Remembering the time immediately after his reincarnation, Julius had a slightly far-away look in his eyes. Looking up at her master, Iris tilted her head. Well, I kind of understand the reasoning, but isn't it tough? It's really hard. Is there something? Iris-chan, it's troubling when you react so eagerly like that. Iris flinches for a moment as he approaches her with a terrifying expression. If you keep using magic, your magical power will naturally decrease, right? And then, if all your magical power is gone, you'll get nauseous and have terrible headaches. When I'm sleeping and suddenly get hit with nausea, I can't fall asleep. Seriously? Nowadays, my efforts have paid off and it's not so tough, but when I think back to those days, tears well up in my eyes. Well, Master, whose emotions are as unstable as a pier under construction, please don't cry, and Iris gently stroked the head of Eurus, who was crying bitterly, to soothe her. Okay, let's learn how to cheat now. Sniff, blah, I don't know. I just couldn't help but feel attracted to the weak part of my master. The knighthood exams are held in various locations. The knight station in major cities such as the royal capital and duchy handle the written and practical tests for applicants. Generally, the knights are stationed all over the country to maintain peace, but young people who want to become knights will likely want to work in major cities. After all, it's said that the more important the city is, the more capable people gather and advance in society. In fact, working in a major city is a place that everyone aspires to, as it means you can get a raise and make connections with people that would otherwise be out of reach. However, Julius had rather wished that the plane would fly somewhere in the countryside. If you advance up the corporate ladder, there is a risk that you will come into contact with the important people that everyone wants to build relationships with, the heroines. I've left the academy and am now planning to join the Knights as a high school graduate and member of society. I don't want to get involved in anything inappropriate. However, he can't afford to slack off on the exams, as it would mean he won't get a good grade and move up the ladder. So Julius decided to give it his all in the entrance exam. All things considered, it was so easy I didn't even need to cheat. Yeah, Iris Chen couldn't stop yawning halfway through, and then the day of the exam arrived. Julius and the others were talking like this on a nearby bench after they had gone to the facility of the night station in the royal capital to which they had been assigned and had finished their written exam. In a job where you make money from sports, what's inside your head is secondary. Maybe if I can get my pectoral muscles twitching, even if my head's empty, I can pass the exam. I don't think you can have a proper conversation if you're so empty-headed, but if the conversations you have with your peers are all about Loic pink shit, I'm sure it'll get violent. Well, Iris is pretty, so she might be the subject of some pink stories from people her age. The pink stares from people other than my master give me goosebumps, such rude things said by the two master and servant. He must have been surprised at how easy the written test was. So next up was the practical exam? If the written test was just a game, then next up was the real competition. What a knight needs is a minimum of courtesy and the strength to maintain peace. This is where the real action begins. I don't know, when you say that I feel a lot more nervous. It's a maid's duty to ease tension. I'd like to rest my head on your lap. Haha, my lady, we're in public here, haha. Julius isn't the only one at this testing ground. There were children of the same age as Julius, commoners and nobles alike, who had come to take the exam, and knights clad in working armor. Even now, if he looked up, he would see a constant stream of people passing in front of him. If a beautiful girl among them were to rest her head on his lap, she would definitely attract attention. Even just, hey, is that person over there? By any chance Joseph Blanche? Why is it disgrace to the nobility taking the knight's exam? You're probably just here to play. You're probably thinking you could become a knight, like always, right? I mean, you look a bit skinny. Whispered voices could be heard from people passing by. This was mainly directed at him by the children of nobles who knew Julius well. Putting together the conversation I could hear, it seemed to be consistent with the usual reputation he's a disgrace, yet he thinks he can become a knight, and of course it's impossible. I had forgotten about it because I hadn't heard it at the mansion recently. But I guess, villain Ulysses, your reputation has really fallen so far. How far do you have to go before you have a decent reputation? Julius, who never made an appearance in high society, felt a strange sense of nostalgia when he heard that scornful gaze and voice. On the other hand, huh? What's with those guys? Are they being ridiculous for not realizing how attractive Master is? I might as well just beep and beep and then beep and then beep, you idiots. Hey, the girl who loved her master was very angry. The words coming out of the mouth of this cute girl are so indescribable that it's difficult to put them into words. Calm down, radical girl. Your words are crossing the line, and I can no longer believe you are a lady. The only thing we need to think about is the practical exam. Get it? Unpursed, but Iris took a deep breath and nodded firmly. Should I just deal with it during the practical exam? Didn't you understand? Iris cutely puffs out her cheeks to show her dissatisfaction. Seeing the girl, Julius sighed softly and stared blankly at the people whispering to each other. I don't really care what anyone says about me, really? If I speak honestly, it will touch my heart. However, ignoring Iris, who was giving him a dirty look, Julius spoke nonchalantly. Just having someone by your side and accepting you is a relief. That's why I'm grateful to Iris, his honest feelings towards the heroine. It was clear from his tone of voice and facial expression that he was being honest. Perhaps that is why, as Iris feels all of Yura's feelings for her, her face involuntarily turns bright red. Is that so? Did I say something that's strange? I told you. Master sometimes fast bowls with I'm in trouble because he throws such a fastball. I want to have a little bit of a girl's heart. Capacity, think about it. Please pet me now. He holds out his head as if asking for an apology. Well, it's better than a lap pillow, I guess. Seeing his hidden heroine in this state, Julius gave a wry smile but gently stroked her head as she had requested. Hey, the princess is coming to the practical exam today, right? You want people to remember your face. Then you'll be on the fast track to success. You idiot, there's no way they'd be interested in aspiring knights like us. Hey! But I'd like to talk to you at least once. When the time came, we were called to the training ground on the premises. Perhaps because it was a place to maintain peace in the royal family's hometown, the training ground I was guided to was quite large. There were two circular arena-like spaces, with weapons such as swords and spears lined up along the walls. It seemed to have the side of an arena as well, with seating set up firmly surrounding the training ground, and many people, regardless of age or gender, had already gathered there. Perhaps they were related to the knights, or perhaps they were family members of the people taking the exam. Either way, all eyes were on the examinees. Are they going to do a circus now? Even though so many people have gathered here, there's probably nothing impressive to show. Well, even if you're not very good at playing with balls, it's fun if you're with family, isn't it? Rather than being excited, I think you're feeling a bit nervous. After all, you'll still have to welcome back the family members who couldn't become knights. At a glance, there were about 100 test takers gathered in the facility. With that many people involved in the event having come, it made sense that there would be plenty of seats filled. However, given the pressure he was under, Julius couldn't help but feel a little sympathy for him. I mean, when I'm standing here like this, I feel really nervous. After all, if he couldn't join the knights, he would definitely be forced to attend the academy. If a member of the nobility were to go nowhere and become a knight, his father, the head of the family, would never forgive him. If that happens, you'll find yourself stepping into a setting full of scenario-ending flags. I have to avoid that at all costs. In this child's case, it's highly likely that what's stabbed into her back isn't a mischievous pen, but a real sword. Julius put his hands together as if praying, getting himself fired up. Well, their lives are literally at stake, so it makes sense that they would look more desperate than anyone else. On the other hand, how many people do I have to defeat to pass? More importantly, I need to think about what to say to get Master to pat me on the head as a reward. Standing next to him was a beautiful maid who didn't look nervous at all. Instead of thinking about the exam, he was thinking like a spoiled child. Oh, hey! Look at that! Wow, he really is here. This is the first time I've seen your face from this distance. Then suddenly, the surrounding area starts to get noisy. Curious, Julius instinctively turned his gaze in the direction everyone was looking. In this space stands out among the other auditoriums. A girl was standing in a glass-enclosed auditorium that seemed to be reserved for VIPs. She has shiny braided golden hair and jewel-like emerald eyes. Her beautiful features can be seen even from a distance, and she has a gentle and elegant aura. The girl was someone even Julius, who hadn't been seen in high society since his reincarnation, knew. Why is the heroine in a place like this? The country's third princess, Fear Mercury. She's one of the heroines who will work alongside the protagonist in this game. Why is a girl like that here? Don't mess with me. Julius wanted to shout out loud, so she covered her face with both hands and began to cry. Is that so? So there was an inspection type event that had nothing to do with the main story? What? It's important, but they should have told me about it beforehand. They might have told me. Certainly, if it wasn't related to the main story, it wouldn't be depicted as a scene. Even if it did exist, it would probably only appear in a brief sentence in a conversation. Either way, what has happened can't be helped. There's no changing what you have to do. Julius removed his hands from his face and turned a slightly resentful gaze towards the person he didn't seem to be able to reach. Wow, there's a princess here. What has she come for? To discover a gem that will shine if polished? It doesn't matter what it is. Let's just think of it as an object d'art to be admired from up high. Well, I suppose so. As they were whispering, several knights finally appeared from the back of the training grounds. Judging from the documents he was holding in his hand, he was probably an examiner or something. Then one of them spoke loudly to the students. Sorry to keep you waiting. We will now begin the practical exam. Wait, practical exam. Just that word made the entire test taker feel tense. To put it simply, we will now split you into groups and have each group fight. This is to gauge each person's talent and current abilities, not to determine victory or defeat. Each person should fight with an eye on how to appeal to others, excluding any intention to kill or injure. In short, it was a competition called a battle. He probably wants to judge how strong each of them are and whether there are any problems in employing them as knights. This feels like an audition. Are they planning to make an idol group out of this? While I was thinking about this, the knights who had been waiting for the exam advanced towards the gathered examinees. The knight walked between Iris and Julius, and they both tilted their heads in the same manner. When a knight passes between them, the examinees who are near his path move slightly back or forward so as not to get in his way. Naturally, the 100 or so examinees split into 4 neat groups. The group that is gathered together now is one group. We will start with the group in the front right and the group in the back right. When a group is called, each group will climb onto the platform. They all made their way up to the circular platform, each one exuding tension. Well then, master. Please do your best. Yeah, Iris too. Ulysses and Iris are the first in a separate group. To be honest, I don't want the heroine to join the knights, but after coming this far, I don't want to wish misfortune on someone else. Julius honestly cheered on Iris, then took a deep breath and pumped himself up. I won't hold back. I'll do my best to appeal to the idol group's sponsors finally. A major turning point for ignoring the scenario begins.